Hey Naval Harbors fans, we are back with the second supplemental video. Some people who are deeply into LEGO, that's what a lot of these videos are for. There aren't going to be any more stories or such, but it gives you a little better background as to why I did certain things or why they ended up the way they did. First off, this is the control tower to set 3182. I got a ton of great things out of that set. Couldn't have been happy to find it. Found it in mint condition at original cost in a store in a back town in the middle of nowhere. So I just got very, very lucky. I love this tower. It was in many of the videos. The only thing I changed was the height of the supporting column, and I obviously changed the markings. I didn't really like there being markings or the idea of paint. So the idea of that tower, of course, was always that it was in the background, that it was far away, that there was obviously a lot more going on in that tower at a distance slightly off the main gate. It wasn't right on top of the aircraft. So that was the idea behind that tower. Also from set 3182, I'm going to bring you around here, and you can see some of the other pieces that ended up at the airport from different sets. We'll talk about them in a minute. But this, well, you know, just a little luggage carrier from 3182. I thought it was great. This guy, a little trolley, a little stairway, again, to bring a stairway up to the aircraft, the passenger aircraft. I did have another stairway from set 7734, but sometimes stuff didn't make it into the videos just because of scale. If it was the wrong scale, then I couldn't use it. If it just looked like it was, you know, a vehicle that was ridiculously large in comparison to what's supposed to be a very large object, i.e. a plane, I had to remove it. I mean, great sets. A lot of great sets I didn't get to use just simply because of scale. We'll talk a little bit more about that in future videos. You might be wondering about all this. Well, this is set 1252 without decals. Now, I liked the scale for my aircrafts that were jets. I thought it was a great fuel tank scale for their fueling. And the only thing I changed was that. I changed the trailer hitch after a few frustrating moments there, but I did finally get all the pieces that I needed to do that. The reason I had to change the trailer hitch is because a lot of my aircraft weren't jet fueled. They were propeller fuel. So if that was the case, then I needed a different fuel truck, one that held propeller or avgas, if you like, propeller, I don't know, fuel, I guess is the best way to put it. And this would be jet fuel. So that was a great idea, and I simply copied it verbatim from the instructions that I found with this set over here. The one problem with it being an older set was the trailer hook, which again, I had to change. I didn't have any pieces like that. I wasn't shopping for LEGO a couple of decades ago. This hobby only started in the year 2013 for me, 2013. So that is why I had to change it so that I could have a truck that would hook up to the fuel for a jet and hook up to the truck and trailer that would have fuel for the propeller aircraft. So that's how that all came about. Why I didn't use octane fuelers or octane fuel trucks. Number one, a friend of mine told me they don't mark the fuel tanks at airports with a particular company. That was number one. Number two, they were, again, scale. They were just too big. They dwarfed. They looked like a monster truck from some rally. This, there's no modifications to. This is actually from set 6022. There's videos describing it, much better video quality than I can give you here. But I love this vehicle. It loads luggage, it loads cargo. It just looks neat. It's something you see at an airport. And again, nothing different here that you wouldn't find from getting a video on 622. I'd like to talk about that too. Look up these numbers if you want to know more and much better quality videos in terms of that. This is just, why was that there? What was that supposed to be? Where did you find that? This is sort of just a video that does those kind of identifications. Now, the air show set 60103, I do believe I used one of these vehicles just once. Not a fan. The main reason being that fuel tank is ridiculously small, and it just seems silly to me. You're not pulling up to a military aircraft I mean, what did that fuel? A helicopter for a 1-hour ride, maybe? I used it, so I'm talking about it. And again, 60103. These sets are made for kids who wouldn't think of that kind of logistical detail, but if I was making a realistic version of my town, you know, I needed to have sets and pieces that looked more or less realistic. Everybody should recognize this little fellow, and if you don't, it is from set 60102. But just little zippity doodah cars that ran around the airport and helped bring aircraft in and out. But that is from the private plane set 60102. You saw these at the airport. I actually took, because I had a couple of these sets, 60020, which is essentially a cargo truck set. Just thought for when I was doing anything that was cargo related at the airport. This was sort of my favorite forklift, so that's what I used. Getting back to airport equipment, this of course is set 7891, and it is pretty basic in that I changed nothing. I love this set. One of my favorite Lego sets. It's the right size for the scale of my airport, which was a small airport, and I just like it. There's just something about it that reminds me of my home airport and the equipment that I would often find there. Now the thing I think it did change is this little number, 746. I went through some decals, found some numbers, and I just thought I'd number the truck, and sort of to prove that it's not part of the original set. There's 774, which is of course a different number. But yeah, that's what that was all about. That was the only thing. One of these sets, they were old sets that I got. They were used. I got 2 of them. And this decal on the top here that came with the original set, absolutely mauled. So I had to get rid of it, and I did. And I think the numbers ended up making it look a little bit better, a little bit more realistic. I'll take a little friend here. Why might be your question. Now, as for where I get torsos from, obviously they come from different sets, and you can sort of search through and research where I got all these torsos from. But in the end, this little guy, he had to be a pretty heavy-duty guy. Heavy-duty defense. He's fighting jet fuel that's on fire. He needs a helmet. This is the fireman that would be at the airport. That's how he'd be dressed. And I did that a lot, where I took different minifigs and made different uniforms because they came from somewhere different, or doing a different job, or belonged to a different service. They needed a different uniform. Well, that is it for the airport supplemental parts. I basically talked about everything I want to talk about, and I'll probably see you in the next video. But that is the airport finished. And what's next? I haven't got a clue, because I'm slowly disassembling Neils Harbor. So see you in supplemental video number 3. And hopefully this one answered a few questions. And if it didn't, you can always comment below and ask me. Until the next video.